Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a new game of StarCraft II Heart of the Swarm. This is a game that I played earlier today and some of you might be wondering, Lowko, who is your favorite player in the entire world of StarCraft? And I probably 99% of the time would have answered something like, Life, you know, StarCraft Life is really freaking good, or maybe someone like EGStephano or whatever. Today we got a game between me, spawning in the bottom right corner of, I believe this map is called Echelon Flats, and my opponent for this game is probably my favorite player of all time. It's going to be none other than EGStephano Raid Call. This is actually the real Stephano. He was live streaming at the time that I faced it, and yes, this is the Heart of the Swarm beta. I played this game only a few hours ago. Let's actually open up the name overlays, and yes, it is Stephano. That is his nickname currently in the Heart of the Swarm beta. There's no EG and RC and all that kind of jazz. It is nicknamed currently. But here we go, it's going to be a Zerg vs Zerg versus one of my favorite players of all time. And yeah, this was a really exciting game. When I actually played this game on the live stream, I was like, holy shit, is that Stephano? Is that Stephano? Oh my god, ah! And I was like, oh shit, I need to be a little bit professional. So the only thing that I said to him was GLHF exclamation mark. Even though inside there was like, yoo-hoo, it's Stephano, yeah! Okay. It's going to be a Zerg vs Zerg on this pretty, you know, it's not the best map. I'm not gonna lie. This map I don't like. I'm not a big fan of it. However, we already see Stephano sending out an early drone to the low ground of his base, and he is going to start out this game with a hatchery first. Now, hatchery first in Zerg vs Zerg can be relatively, you know, bad versus a certain kind of build orders that your opponent can go for. For example, early spawning pools, obviously, or something like 10 pool or 10 pool into banelings or really early banelings. It's just, hatchery first can be incredibly risky. However, you know, I'm not really a player that will go for like a proxy hatchery for a really early spawning pool or whatever. Meanwhile, I'm actually getting up my own spawning pool. Gas guys are after it, and I'm gonna start my hatchery right now as well. Now, why I'm doing this is because the early extractor that I'm actually taking right here will most of the time not be noticed. What this means is that they will actually just see the hatchery going up. They see, oh, it's a little bit late. It's most likely gonna be a 15 pool, 15 hatch. Meanwhile though, I already have my gas guys going, and that is a huge deal. I'm doing this build order right now on this map because he will not be able to scout my main whatsoever. Let's take a look at the map architecture. I don't know how to say that, but he is having this one overlord out right now. He has it at the front of my base, but there's no way he will be able to scout my my gas guys. He will always die to something like a really early spawning pool, because, you know, losing an overlord early on is just too valuable. So right now I already have 100 gas mined. I'm actually getting the metabolic boost speed upgrade already, and I'm going to be scouting with 4 Zerglings. Now, the reason why I'm all doing this is because I know that I probably will be a much weaker player in the early part of the game, right? Stephano's micro is far superior to mine. Mine is pretty decent, right? But I can't really compare to someone in Link versus, like, Link Baneling versus Link Baneling fights are incredibly hard to micro, and I know Stephano has superb micro in that sense, so I'm not really going to be trying that out. Instead, I'm going to opt for a lot of speedlings early on and be the aggressor myself. That way, avoiding a lot of Link Baneling versus Link Baneling kind of fights, and just trying to do as much damage as I possibly can. Now, as you can see, I'm already producing 20 more Zerglings, and I'm actually going to wait a little tiny bit in my main base before sending those out. As you can see, the metabolic boost upgrade is about a few seconds away. It is about to be finished, and bam, I'm instantly going to be moving out. I have double queen production going on right now, and that means of course larva production. I'm going to reinforce the Zerglings that I already have by more and more Zerglings, and this can oftentimes catch players completely off guard if they think you went for a standard 15 hatch, 15 pool. Or 15 pool, 15 hatch water, but nope, not Stephano. Stephano already having 3 spine crawlers, 2 queens out, and he actually has 3rd and 4th queen done as well right now. And I realize now this push is not really going to be working. However, if I go back to droning right at this point, it becomes incredibly scary, and I need to do at least a little bit of damage. So I'm going to be target firing both queens right now. I do manage to get both, but I realize, nah, Stephano is even getting more spine crawlers right now. The 1st and 2nd spine crawler and 3rd and 4th spine crawler are already on the way right now. And I know, since he is taking all these spine crawlers, and since he already had 4 queens out at this point in the game, there's no way the guy is gonna have gas guys up until like 8 minutes into the game. So at this point, I know I need to go back to droning, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm making more and more drones, going to saturate this gas guys relatively soon as well. Just because I'm going to need a lot of gas soon again to get my own lair up relatively soon. I also need to get a spire up, because that, of course, is my plan. Right now, standard Zerg vs Zerg play is all about the spires. Spires are incredible in Zerg vs Zerg. Just because Muralist got a huge speed buff, it means that they are incredibly good right now, especially with the Muralist regeneration that they have right now. At this point, however, I know that I don't really need to throw down like 3 spine crawlers to defend this attack, simply because I know he invested into a shit ton of static defense, and I know that there will most likely not come any aggression until much later, and probably not until he's at lair tech. So at this point, I'm basically safe, droning up as hard as I can, and since I'm basically having complete map control with the speed links that I have, I can also take a relatively early third base as well. I'm going to start at one pretty soon. I'm also getting my what is it called even? Lair. There we go. I only built like at least like 3,000 lairs in my life. You know, I don't know the name of that thing. So there we go. Eventually I'm gonna get the spine crawl at my front anyway. I'm also getting my baneling nest, but let's take a look at what StarCraft is doing right now. StarCraft is playing completely thirdly. He has 4 gas gouges mining with drones right now, going for the lair as well, and he's also having double evolution chamber on its way right now. Excuse me, he's actually going to be having complete defense right now. There's no way I'm going to be breaking into this with any kind of play. Even if I decide to go for some huge roach aggression, I know that there's no way I'm going to be breaking 4 queens with a lot of energy. There's no way. They will transfuse those spine crawlers for ages, and as you can see, Stephano is actually creating more and more spine crawlers, playing the completely turtle style, actually getting another one there as well. And at this point I decide, you know, if he's gonna do any kind of aggression right now, he is most likely gonna go for either a really quick third base to either out macro me, or he's gonna go for a Nidus network. This is something that I've been seeing quite a bunch on the ladder right now. Instead of going for the quick spire, players will actually go for a Nidus network and that way kill you off. However, I'm going to try and deny this blindly by simply having a few roaches or a few Zerglings like patrolling all over the map to make sure that they will be able to scout and see any kind of Nidus network incoming. And as long as I don't deny it, or as long as I don't manage to get it finished, I should be fine. And since I'm getting my third base up right now, I can just drone up and drone up and drone up. I do realize he's sending out a drone to his third base at this point in the game as well. And I'm trying to get a scout up, but I do realize, nope, he's still playing complete turtle style. And he's most likely gonna go for a third base at this point in the game. So right now, I feel relatively... You know, I feel relatively weird. My spire is about to be done, but I don't really know what the guy is up to. He's still sitting on all those bases, and I'm also not really, I'm not really trying to scout. I scouted with a few Zerglings a bunch of times, but what I should really be doing right now is getting a lot of fishing with an Overseer. At this point, I really don't know what he's up to, and it gets kind of scary. However, I have 10 Mutalisks on the map right now, or on the way right now. I will be able to kill quite a bunch of overlords, and as long as I will be able to supply block him at the very least, or maybe get a bunch of damage done on all those overlords, I might be able to get nice comeback in this game. Right now I know that he is most likely not gonna get too aggressive, because he is still turtling up completely. He's actually adding on more and more spine crawlers, even though I haven't scouted those. I can already assume this is going to happen, because he's most likely going to go for a really high-tech army, most likely gonna get some early gas guys going at his third base as well, and he's most likely, I know I'm making a lot of assumptions, but he's most likely gonna be playing completely defensive. As you can see right now, I noticed there's a bunch of spore crawlers up right now as well. He's getting more and more queens, it seems like, as well, and he's having so much energy on all those queens that there's really no way I'm going to be able to do too much as well, and the reason being are those units right here. Oh, what is the hotkey? There we go. Those sexy units called the Swarm Host actually spawn little locusts. And as you can see, Stephano is also getting the Evolve Enduring Locust, which allows the Locust to live 10 seconds longer. He is also at the 13-minute mark. He's also at the hive tech of things as well. 3 bases mining, actually making more and more Swarm House right now. And he's actually just making a complete kind of turtle play. There's no way I'm going to be able to push in this kind of play whatsoever. One of the things that they also changed in Heart of the Swarm is that actually spine crawlers are now solid buildings. If you actually line them up closely together, I will not be able to run through them with Zerglings like you could in Wings of Liberty. So right now I know if I just keep on Muralisc tech, I most likely will not be able to do too much with them. However, right now, I need to know what is up, so I'm going to get a little bit aggressive. And I do realize, oh shit, I get a little bit of a glimpse right now. And I do manage to kill off one Swarm Host right there. Swarm Hosts are incredibly aggressive, or incredibly expensive. I believe they cost like 200 gas and 300 minerals or so. Let me actually check that quickly. Now I'm curious. 200, okay, no, I actually was wrong. It's 200 minerals and 100 gas, but it's still really expensive for 3 base gas. So right now, I'm basically deciding to take a few more Muralisc, even though it's probably not the smartest choice. Because most likely he's not gonna go for blind, just mass Swarm Host and Queen. He's most likely going to add something like maybe Infestus into it, which is exactly what he is doing, and I do not realize it at this point in the game. Trying to harass a little bit, but as you can see, this is the version of the things that I saw during the game. And I'm like, holy shit, this guy is playing so incredibly tanky. But if I manage to get maybe an Evolution Chamber, that might help out. But no, transfusions are going down on the Evolution Chamber. Will I be able to get it down before the upgrade finishes? Of course, I do not know that the upgrade is already about to be done, but nope. I do not manage to get the upgrade, sadly enough. That would have been a huge pickup, actually. If I would have been able to do so, however, the first Infestors are already out. I do not know about them. I haven't seen them just yet. And if he gets a big fungal off right now, I might be in a huge trouble. And here we go. He's actually throwing down a huge fungal on top of pretty much all my Muralisc. And since he will be able to have all those Queens and all those Spore Crawlers that do additional damage right now to Muralisc, he will be able to pick off pretty much every one of them. And I'm like, no! Stephano, what are you doing? And he's like, huh, what? And I'm like, no, my Muralisc. Oh well, at this point I decide I already have my third or my fourth base done. Stephano, however, already having the +3 attack started for his missile attack. Meaning that everything, like his Queens, will actually do so much damage. I believe those Locust benefit from it as well. I'm actually curious. Do Locust benefit from these units? Let's take a look. Yeah, they actually do manage from the Acid Spit. Apparently, that is a ranged upgrade. So these Evolution Chambers are also buffing those units. And since Stephano is most likely going to be playing completely tanky, and I do not really, like, I don't think he will be moving out anytime soon. I do realize he's most likely just gonna sit back on 3 or 4 bases, and he actually, he's going to try and take his 4th base right now. And since I realize that, I will need to tech up really soon myself as well. At this point, it gets a little bit scary, because if he gets a big fungal off again on those Muralisc, the Muralisc will be rendered completely useless. I should now actually look back on this, I should have never continued the Muralisc production. I know that in a straight up fight, which will eventually happen 100% of the time, I will not be able to take on all those Queens and all those Infestors and all those Swarm Hosts. At this point though, he's already morphing his greatest Spire and his second Spire, where I'm still on Roach Tech. And even though it's 200 supply versus 139, it is going to be incredibly hard to do any kind of damage versus so much static defense. Now you might think this is a lot of defense, but look, this more and more Spine Crawler is actually at his 3rd base, I believe this is, you could say, yeah. And yeah, since he has so many Queens to actually just transfuse all those units, he has a lot of Infestors as well as those Swarm Hosts that just keep spawning and keep spawning and keep spawning our little Locusts. It's just simply impossible for me to push into this without something like Brood Lords. So Brood Lord is the army that I should be aiming for. But since this is the first time, oh my god, hold that thought, because he's actually going to be fungaling all my Muralisc. Once again, he gets a huge fungal out of him, and I'm like, no, come on, dude. Don't do it, don't do it. And I actually managed to lose all my Muralisc right now, once again dropping almost 30 supply within pretty much seconds. And yeah, at this point I really don't know what I'm supposed to do. I know that Stephano will have 4 bases up right now. He will have a pretty significant gas income. He's also most likely out upgrading me because of the double Evolution Chamber that he had really early on. And since he's playing so incredibly thirdly, he has a lot higher tech units than me. I am not really able to attack into this at all, and I was really intrigued in this game by the way that Stephano was playing. He actually plays completely different, like any Zerg that I have met on the ladder, and even though it's completely 100% passive, and he hasn't done anything to me just yet, it is a pretty cool style. He actually has a lot of queens early on to defend. He then switches into swarm house that we're able to defend as well. And he then adds, as you can see, infestors, brood lords, and corruptors. Already brood lords are on the way right now. Well, I say already, but it's already 21 minutes into the game. But what you might have noticed is Stephano did not move out whatsoever just yet. I'm going to take my 5th base, however, because I'm kind of confused what I'm supposed to do myself. And I'm going to start the hive right now. I'm going to start some upgrades as well, but at this point, I'm pretty far behind as far as upgrades go. However, I already have my spire already done. Which will mean that I will be able to save the gas that I will otherwise need to make. And I'm going to try and transition into something like a lot of brood lords and maybe get a few ultralisk in there because, you know, ultralisk are pretty good as well. But at this point, I'm kind of confused with the way that Stephano is playing. I don't really know what I should be going for. Meanwhile, on Stephano's side of the map, well, pretty much nothing is going on. Stephano is getting a bunch of overseers, just in case a lot of weird stuff will be able to happen. Or maybe like burrowed units or whatever, he's just getting them blindly. He's also getting double upgrades for those corruptors and for those broodlords. And he's also just making sure that he will not be able to be attacked at any point in the game. Like, I'm not able to attack into this fortress of spine crawlers and spore crawlers whatsoever. Stephano is playing this completely safe. There's no way I will be able to attack into this. And I'm just trying to move across the map and trying to get a little bit of a loop somewhere. Because if I will be able to pick off at least like trade efficiently or whatever, I might be able to move in a bunch of ultralisk or maybe a bunch of broodlords myself. Right now I'm pretty much max supply and I'm going to try and start broodlords soon. As you can see, my greatest spire is on the way as well as my ultralisk cavern. But right now I really need to start trading, but I don't really know in what angle to attack into. So I decide, well, at this point I basically gave away about 30 supplying units that did absolutely 0 damage to him. But right now I can start my own corruptor production. And since I'm able to get 5 bases up myself, and since I will be able to do a little bit of aggression or a little bit of extra gas income, I might have a little bit of an edge in broodlord count. However, the best army right now in Zerg vs Zerg seems to be something like mass corruptor with mass broodlords. Since they nerfed the infested Terrans and also nerfed kind of fungal, it isn't that scary anymore. But here we go, Stephano is going to be moving across the map, heading straight for my 5th base and going to try and target fire it down the best I can. Right now I'm like, oh shit, I did not realize this, and I am going to try and send my army to my 5th base, but it is too late. Stephano's upgrades are really good. He's actually doing a lot of damage, and I'm trying to transfuse the 5th base, but he does manage to get a kill on it. And Stephano is right now maxed out in supply. He's actually getting more more Zerglings up right now, more upgrades for those broodlords as well, and he is just going to play completely safe, getting his own 5th base up right now. And I'm like, oh come on Stephano, just move out of your base already. But I know he probably will be able to sit back. He's probably just trying out new strategies, and Stephano is just sitting back the entirety of the game. Right now, however, I'm going to have my first broodlords already out. I'm having my upgrades going for my broodlords as well, and I don't feel too bad. I know that I will have a little bit of an even fight at the very least, and I might be able to have quite a significant bank considering how much earlier my 3rd and 4th base were compared to his. So right now I'm not feeling too scared. Of course, the max army supply is 200 supply, so as long as I just will be able to get a bunch of damage done on him, and since he has all those swarmers out, I will be able to do quite a bunch to him. So right now I'm getting more and more broodlords myself. I need to make sure that I do not overdo it though, because I will also need corruptors to kill his broodlords at this point in the game. However, right now I'm going to start my corruptor production, where Stephano is already starting +3 ranged, or what is it called, air attack, and he's also starting already about to be finishing up the flyer carapace upgrade as well. But at this point, Stephano has a army composition that, let's take a look. It consists of, oh actually I get a huge fungal off all these useless roaches right now. However, I do manage to get, oh my god, I actually did not catch that. Let's actually go back a little bit. I did not catch that, I'm sorry guys. At this point, I'm actually moving across the map, trying to get his 5th base down, because I don't want to allow him to get all that gas going. And since I know that I have a pretty big ground armor that is going to be incredibly useless, I'm going to try and just target fire it down, and I do manage to get a kill on that 5th hatchery, which is quite a huge deal, because it means that my 3rd base will be really good. But however, Stephano is going to run by with some Zerglings for himself. I do manage to evacuate evacuate most drones out of there. But will I also be able to stop this 5th base, or this 4th base rather, from going down? Stephano is going to target fire it down with Zerglings, and he does manage to get it, which is quite a huge deal. But Stephano still has all those swarm hosts that are completely useless at this point in the game, and he is not bringing them to the fight. At this point, I have a lot of corruptors, I have a lot of broodlords as well, and I have a relatively, I have a pretty good army right now. I'm going to start more and more corruptors. As you can see, 22 corruptors right now on the production tab, and I'm going to be maxing out with those pretty soon. My upgrades aren't that terrible either, and it's going to be a maxed out air battle where Stephano has a lot of wasted supply in all those swarm hosts. The swarm hosts didn't really pay for themselves, except for being completely thirdly in the middle part of the game. But those swarm hosts really didn't do anything so far for him. They are basically just wasted supply right now. This is, how much is that? That is 11 swarm hosts. And swarm hosts, how much do they cost? I actually don't know how much supply they are. Let's take a look. 3 supplies, so that's actually 33 supply completely wasted. But here we go. We are going to have a huge fight in the middle of the map. I'm actually having a lot of corruptors out right now to deal with his corruptors, and I'm having a lot of broodlords out as well. I'm going to spread out my broodlords the best I can. I'm going to target fire all those units that he has, and since the swarm host got, or the infested terrans got nerfed, I'm going to be able to get quite a bunch of damage done. And here we go. I'm actually target firing down all those broodlords that he has. I'm going to try and snipe off all of that he has, and I'm actually having quite a bunch of units up, and I'm actually having an advantage over Stephano in a really long macro game. Zerg versus Zerg, a Codex level player, one of the best players in the world, and I'm like, holy shit, am I beating Stephano in a macro game? I'm like freaking out at this point in the game, and I'm not thinking that straight anymore. And Stephano, smart that he is, he's actually going to counter my Broodlord Infestor, or my Broodlord army, by a lot of Zerglings. And you might think, Zerglings, what are those going to do? Well, what is he going to do? He's actually just going to run by my Broodlords completely. He's going to try and run them into my 3rd and 4th base. And since I'm actually having a lot of corruptors out right now, I will not be able to deal with those. And since I am pushing ahead with all my Broodlords, there's no way I'm going to be defending against all those maxed out Zerglings. Those Zerglings are incredibly strong, and he managed to get so much damage done. He is actually having quite a big army right now. However, the fight isn't done just yet. I managed to get a console on all of those evolution chambers. Stephano does not manage to finish his upgrades, and at this point in the game, he's doing a lot of damage with Zerglings, but at what cost? I'm having more and more Broodlords at this side of the map, and it does look like Stephano will outproduce me at this point in the game because of the 5th base that he has done. However, more and more corruptors joining the fight right now. I'm trying to morph more Broodlords in a little bit because I'm going to need a few more. However, Zerglings are doing so much damage. He managed to kill my main base already, and he's going to do more and more damage at this point in the game. I should have most likely gone for this 4th base, but it's not bad whatsoever. However, here we go. His corruptors are finished right now. He has a lot of infestors right now as well, and I'm not really responding. He's going to fungal off all my corruptors, and he's doing so much damage to them. And at this point, I realize Stephano is outproducing me, and Stephano actually did win this game in the end. But at some point, I did have a chance versus one of the best Zerg players in the entire game. I want to thank you guys all for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe right now, because I'm improving damn fast, and I hope I can give you more of these games really soon. Have an awesome day, guys. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you again. Bye.